Hi everyone, and welcome to my reading wrap-up for my May game or May round of Cat-Walk TBR. So I'll tell you what the prompts were that I got, the book I picked, the books I did not read. I did not complete my May TBR. Those have already been put away. So I will be showing you the books that I did read. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. So for May, I did have a punishment read because I did not complete my TBR for April. The TBR, I pulled this one from a TBR jar. It's like my punishment one. It's just all books that I won from like Goodreads. A lot of them are arcs that I need to get through. But the one that I pulled out was Missing Pictures. This was an ebook written by Angela Hoke. I'm not sure how to say the last name. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. We're following this lady, and I can't remember her name, but she ends up very, very, very depressed. Ends up, I think she tried to commit suicide, ended up in the hospital at an inpatient and outpatient, I think one of the two or both, therapy program. She meets 2 ladies in the therapy group and they become best friends. One has bipolar, not sure about the other one, if she just has manic depression. I can't remember what it was, but it just follows them as they're dealing with their love lives, dealing with the mental health issues that they have, how much it hinders their marriage, who ended up with divorce, whose children are trying to be taken away by their spouse or their ex-spouse. Maybe children that don't understand what they're going through, don't want anything to do with their parent. So a lot of hard-hitting stuff in that. It was good. It was very difficult to read because of all the talk of suicide and people hitting rock bottom mentally. And so it was a very difficult read. So definitely proceed with a lot of caution. But I did enjoy it. Ended up giving that one 3 stars. Okay. So on my game, I ended up with Box Time. That was to read a book that was either gifted or a book that I got from a book box. This one I went with Severance by Ling Ma. As you can see, I got this one from Book of the Month. I am going to unhaul this one. This does not have quotation marks, and that is my biggest pet peeve with books. I can't stand this. So I don't mind the thought of rereading this in the future, but I will listen to the audiobook rather than physically reading it. Just with those missing things. This one we are following, what is her name? Candace. She works at this place that produces a lot of stuff. The department that she is over produces Bibles, and things like that. You have her reflecting on the immigration of her parents from China, I think. Is it? I don't remember for sure, but China sounds right, but I could be wrong. But they immigrate from an Asian country to the United States. They end up living in Salt Lake City, Utah. And at some point she lives in another state for a short amount of time, and then she ends up working in New York. So you're just following as they immigrate, get used to American life rather than from where they were from, things like that. And that's when she reflects back. The main plot of the book is that you're following her as there is this huge pandemic that's going on. It's done by mold or something in the air. It's not a virus. It's not bacteria. So it's not contagious from one person to the other. You have to be in a contaminated building, in a contaminated room, and breathe in the pores. And then you become basically a zombie. Your body decays, but you still do certain mundane tasks like trying on shirts over and over and over, folding clothes over and over and over, setting the dishes at the table and acting like you're eating, and then picking them up and then setting them out immediately again. And the best humane thing that the characters that she is following does is to shoot these people in the head to put them out of their misery so they don't just decay doing the same things over and over and over. So it's a survival story. She's leaving New York. It's like the world is just gone, and sometimes you don't know that someone has contracted this and they turn instantly into this mindless drone type thing, and it takes you a couple minutes to realize that they have changed and that they are considered infected. So yeah, 3 stars, but I will be unhauling that one. Okay, the next prompt on my game was New Home, that was to read a book by a debut author. For this one, I was going to read Ink Blood Sister Scribe by Emma Torzs, and I did not get to that one. I didn't even complete this prompt. And that was an ARC that I won from Goodreads. Number 4 that I landed on was Paw Print. This was to read a book with texture on the cover. For this one, I went with the cloth-bound Penguin edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Definitely has texture because it is the cloth-bound. You do have these images here. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It's not my favorite classic. It was still enjoyable. I will say there is a lot of stuff cut out of this. Like I would say maybe 15 to 20% of what's in this book is in the movie Frankenstein in any of the variations. And I've only seen a couple of variations, but it is very much, a lot of stuff is omitted. So I highly recommend the book over the movie. I think the book is better. I mean, the movie is fun, it's entertaining, but you get a lot more into the character of the creature that Dr. Frankenstein creates, and so that's what I loved. But not my favorite classic, but I still enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3 stars, and I will read this in the future, and so I did. I do enjoy that one. Okay. The next prompt then I got for my game is Nap Time, and that was to read a book that is greater than or equal to 500 pages. My option for that I picked was The Secret History by Donna Tart, and I did not get to that one. And then I ended up with another Nap Time, so another book that was 500 pages or more, and for that one I did Salvation, which was on a previous TBR. Still did not get to that one. Salvation by Peter F. Hamilton. So it's back on my bookcase. I'll get to it at some point. Next is Clowder, and that was to read a book that is in a series. For this one, I went book number 2 in the selection series by Kiera Cass. We're following America. She's in the class system of like a 6. She's selected out of with a bunch of girls to go to the palace, and is basically competing to win the prince's heart, and one of them will become the next queen. It's a dystopian, and you're watching as some of these girls backbite because it is a competition and things like that. And yeah, so it's interesting. I am enjoying this one. I gave this one 4 stars. There's 3 more books that I have in this series, and I look forward to seeing what's going to happen next. I mean, that's pretty much all I can say with this being the next in a series. You're just following America. It's further on. They're down to like 5 or 6 girls now. There's these 2 groups of people, one from the north, one from the south, that attack the castle or the palace. Both have different, well, I don't know if they're different agendas for why they attack, but different tactics in the way that they attack. One just wants to strike fear, one actually wants to harm and kill. So the amount of attacks has increased the more further the competition, the selection competition goes on, the more the attacks have increased in this book. So yeah, I'm enjoying that series. I am enjoying that one. Okay, and then I landed on cat videos, which meant I had to draw a booktuber out of my little jar thingy, which is, I have a bunch of YouTubers or booktubers written on sheets of paper that have TBR games. So I pull that, and then I have to try and fit a book, not the ones from my game, but completely different set of books to go with that booktuber's prompts for their game. The booktuber I pulled was Sid from Sid Bookworm, and so I went with her April Spin the Bottle TBR game. One prompt that she got was to finish a series. I selected the rest of the selection series, but I did not get to that. I only got to book number 2. So those are ready to go at some point, and I will get to those ones. Next was to read a book that the prompt was just water, and so something has to do with water. I did water on the cover. I selected The Club by Ellery Lloyd. I did not get to that one because the cover has a swimming pool on it. So did not get to that prompt. Alright, these last several I did complete. And the next prompt that she got was a book with blue on the cover. I went with Flight 171 by Amy Christine Parker. This is a young adult. We're following this class as they are going to go to, are they going to Utah or Colorado? I don't remember, but somewhere where they can do some skiing, so they're on a class ski trip. The main character that we're following has a twin sister who was killed in a hit and run accident. They get on this flight. There's this demon on the flight that starts revealing people's darkest secrets. So it's leading up to the fact that we're probably going to figure out who killed the main character's friend, or her twin sister, but everyone has dark secrets. It was fine. I give it 3 stars. As you can see, there's blue on that. The demon makes him hallucinate a couple of times. It was fine. I did enjoy it. It was a fun read, but I don't think I'm going to reread it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and unhaul this one. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say. It was kind of... It felt like it was a little bit too long for what it was supposed to do. I think a novella would have been a lot better, but that's just my opinion. Next was to start a new series. For this one I did Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. This is book number 1 in the Hannibal Lecter series. 3 stars. I'm on the fence of unhauling this one. We're following... Oh, what is the detective's name? Is it Will Graham? I think Will Graham is the detective we're following. Yeah. He basically put away Hannibal Lecter in a criminal mental asylum. And so he reflects on that a little bit, but right now they're following a different one that was called The Tooth Fairy, and the title gets converted to The Red Dragon. That is a serial killer. He's trying to help investigate to find this serial killer to put them behind bars. This guy has killed families. There are points in this book that you do get from the perspective of the serial killer. It does get graphic at points as far as blood and guts. So proceed with caution. It's a horror. You can pretty much plan on there being a lot of trigger warnings. There's talk of animal death and things like that. There's masturbation. There's talk of maybe wanting to do some phone sex, but that doesn't pull through. You know, so there's a lot of trigger warnings in horror books. Just always plan with horror there being a lot of trigger warnings. So always proceed with caution and look up trigger warnings if you are particularly sensitive to certain topics, which is perfectly fine. I would prefer you to look at the trigger warnings and then enjoy the book rather than go in and having a horrific time and then being put in a very bad state of mind for a while because of a book. So yes, always look up trigger warnings if you can and if you need to. There's no shame in that. So, but I do think, I mean, it was 3 stars. It was fine. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but I did find that I was forgetting to pick it up or wanting to do other things. So, I mean, the writing was fine. For me, it was kind of like nothing special. It didn't stand out with my reading. So I'm very much on the fence of unhauling this one. As I said in another video, this is the start of a series. The next one is Silence of the Lambs. I'm going to read that book. I will read the whole series, even if I give all of the books in the series 3 stars. But if I give Silence of the Lambs 3 stars or less, then I'm going to unhaul each book as I read it. So I'm going to hold on to this book to see what I think of Silence of the Lambs. If I like Silence of the Lambs, then I'll hold on to it. If I don't particularly care for it or have the same kind of lukewarm feelings, then I'll just unhaul them as I go. But if I like Silence of the Lambs, but I don't like Hannibal, which is book number 3, then I'll be unhauling them as I read them, type of a thing. So it just depends on how I feel with the future books, if I'm going to keep this one or if it's going to be unhauled. So right now I'm keeping it, but it's on the chopping block. Okay. Prompt, the next one that Sid got was a challenge. I'm not going to say if she won or lost. I will link the original video for Sid's April TBR game in the description box. Was it her April game? Yeah, her April TBR game. So you can check it out and see if she won the challenge game or not. But I will not say. But the book that I ended up picking was A Final Grade by R.L. Stine. This is a standalone book in the original Fear Street series. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. Yeah, 3 stars. Not my favorite out of the Fear Street series. It was good. I still enjoyed it. Very nice quick read. I am in the process of trying to collect this whole series. This one we're following Lily Bancroft. She is trying to get valedictorian. And there's this one teacher that just will not give her what she feels she deserves as far as a grade. She fantasizes about killing people, and then the people she fantasizes killing about or hurting end up dead. So murder is a very big plot in this, as well as you do find out when someone does something and holds it over your head, not blackmail, but it's like, if you say or do anything, then I'm going to take us both down with the ship type of a thing. Being corrode. I can't say it. You know what I mean. Hopefully I've explained that well. But yeah, 3 stars. It was good. Definitely not my favorite out of all of them, but it was still enjoyable to read. Okay, and then Sid did a Patreon jar. For this one, I still needed to get my May Autism Reads. I will always have the Autism Reads Discord in the description box. This is a monthly readathon that I host. And for the month of May, the prompt was to read, or the book selection was Can You See Me, written by Libby Scott and Rebecca Westcott. Libby is the one that is autistic. This follows a lot of what she had to deal with. This is fiction. But she's kind of fictionalized her life of what it was like going into 6th grade, into junior high in England, being autistic, trying to act normal, to fit in, so doing a lot of masking, trying to hide who you really are, to fit in with the other friends at the school, and things like that. I could really relate to this character. One of the things, I have a couple of tabs here. I like this one. One of the teachers says, sometimes the strongest voices are those who are speaking the quietest, which is something that I have to remind myself about sometimes too. There are just some great things in this. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I look forward to, this is book number 1 in a series. I did find that there is a prequel, so rather than ordering book 2, I ordered the prequel, so I will get to the prequel. And if I still like it, then I will get to order the second book. But I enjoyed this one. You were just following, Tally is the main character, living her life as an autistic person entering junior high. And you see how she might struggle, like with me, I have this same struggle. I struggle recognizing and knowing what to do with people around me and their feelings and their emotions and identifying it and understanding. But yet when it comes to animals, I am so empathetic. I don't want animals to get hurt. I understand them, and I'm able to say, oh, well, they're probably feeling this way because of this situation. But yet I have a hard time doing that with people. Yeah. Anyway, animals, it's more on their sleeve. People tend to mask or act a certain way when they don't mean it and things like that. So, yeah, I do recommend this one. I think this would be a very influential, poignant read, if I'm thinking the right words, of any child to read this. This is a middle grade, and I highly recommend more kids read this, more people in general, but especially kids read this, to try and get an understanding of some of their classmates might think a little bit different and act a little bit different, but they're still awesome people. So anyway, so that's it. Those are the books that I read and completed for my May Cat-Walk TBR. I did end up taking a punishment for my June Cat-Walk TBR, but I only ended up with like 5 prompts. So I have not started any of those books yet, and it's now the 6th, I think. Where's my phone? I don't know where my phone is. Anyway, I think it's the 6th of June. I haven't started any of them yet, but oh well. Anyway, so that's it. Let me know if you've read any of these books or books by any of these authors. Until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I'll talk to you later.